Hello, world. I just want to get everybody introduce you to the Professor's Real Estate Investing Podcast. I'm with Frank Rizzo. How you doing, Frank?
I'm doing very well today, Tony. Thank you very much for having me on.
Yes, we got Frank Rizzo. He's a seasoned mobile home park investor with over 20 years of experience in the real estate industry, and he's the co-host of the MHP Exchange podcast. So, Frank, I just want to know, how did you get into the sector of the mobile homes and real estate investing?
The funny story about it, Tony. Yeah, I don't think many people wake up in the morning and say they want to become a mobile home park operator, right? Unless you were born into it. But having had a real estate career, where I started as an agent and eventually moved into being a real estate broker, I was assisting one of my clients. I mean, real salt of the earth people, first generation entrepreneur who had, come to New York, started a bunch of small businesses, and like most business owners who do not have a 401k or do not have a retirement plan, did the best thing possible, which was to buy and own a bunch of multifamily buildings to create rental income for himself. And when he started to phase out of the active management and he was having some, operational challenges as things have gotten, where he was just at a different stage of life. Me and my office got involved to manage and kind of situate the properties correctly. And in the process of doing that, um, they relocated down south because, most people, as the old expression goes, nobody retires up north, right? So they
No.
moved down south. And as the family was happy with our services, they had asked me to work with them to find a suitable replacement for the income that they were going to be losing by selling their investment properties in the New York City area. So in the process of looking for high yield, cash flowing, predictable real estate investments for them, I came across the mobile home park industry. And when I sat down with the family and made my recommendation that I think that you should exchange into a mobile home park, not having any background or experience in it, but for the reason of, you know, it is a very sticky and resilient asset class. And what do I mean by that? I mean, typically when residents own their home inside the community, they own the home. Your responsibility is to maintain the grounds, keeping it clean, keeping it beautiful, keeping it safe, keeping the lights on, making sure the infrastructure is working. That is something that I felt that they could do remotely. That is something that I felt that they could do from a distance. And typically, when a resident owns their home, they'll stay in the park on average 17 and a half years,
Wow.
as long, as long as the place, Tony, is clean and safe. So I recommended them to get into the mobile home park space. And the father who said, I will only do it, Frank, if you stayed in the deal and you ran the deal for us. So almost by baptism by fire, I had to put my money where my mouth was. I had to um, operate and manage this community in Southeast Georgia while I was in New York. And it proved to be a very worthwhile investment and a great learning opportunity. And it really sparked my interest into the space. And it probably without a doubt, Tony, the best investment decision I made in the over 20 years I've been in the real estate space was to get into manufactured housing.
Wow, that's beautiful. And I already caught already something to it because up north, especially New York and California, it's the worst when it comes to taxes. But if you go down to like the southern states, you get more of an investment when it comes to those southern states.
That's a great point, Tony. I mean, you're in California, we're in New York. I think we have every city and every state, there's legislative hurdles. It just seems that we happen to be in some areas where there's a little bit more challenges. And what I've found is when you can operate in a location where you have some business clarity, it doesn't mean that you always get the answer that you want, but you can get the answer that you need. And that can help you make better business decisions, knowing that, what I need to do to execute on a business plan, or if a business plan is even executable. And I think by taking out some of those legislative, obstacles, it gave us a real clarity of purpose, and clarity of being able to operate. And that's something that we really look towards in one of the reasons why we really like the area and the markets that we're in.
Yes. So, and then you was talking about, transferring from the multifamily into the mobile home park. What's some of the, or the biggest misconception about investing in mobile homes?
Well, I think the first big misconception in it is that these homes are mobile, right? So you have it just in the name mobile home or mobile home park. The assumption is that these homes could be readily moved. And quite frankly, these homes are very expensive to move or costly to move. So typically to move and set a home can range anywhere from 12,000 to $17,000, depending on getting a licensed mover. If the lot that it's moving to is prepped, has the connections to the sewer and electric readily available, if you need to bring in an HVAC unit. So it could be very costly. So people who own these homes do not tend to move these homes unless, of course, they're moving it to a piece of land that they may have purchased. And so, for the most part, when someone owns their home, they will keep it in a community, and they will keep it. They like that community living. They just want to own their home, and it's essentially multifamily housing that is horizontal rather than vertical.
That's a great way of putting it. As soon as you said that, I was like, yes, you're right on point when it comes to that right there. Where, because I know a lot of people that I'm around within real estate, they don't do much with the sector of the mobile homes, but where should investors look to find mobile home deals at?
You know, it's interesting you say that. I mean, I grew up in New York City. So we don't in New York City, it's not a hotbed of mobile home parks. And so but when you leave outside of the city areas, you start to realize that 12% of the US population lives in manufactured housing.
Wow.
So so it is a large portion of the US public that is living in some sort of manufactured home. Now they're not in parks, but these mobile home parks are are throughout the country outside of say major metros. They're all in secondary, tertiary markets. In a lot of the major metros, a lot of times the mobile home parks, um, typically, you know, the cities are looking to do a higher and better use. They're looking to build, multifamily housing or luxury housing. So they are dwindling in supply, as crazy as that sounds, which, with a country that's in an affordability crisis, makes this a very interesting investment at this point in time.
I'm glad you brought that up. Yes, because the housing shortage here in the United States is between the 7 to 9 million mark. What would it play for with the mobile homes? Like, say if they got an abundance of mobile homes, how would that help out the economy and the home the sector of affordable housing?
Tony, that is an excellent question because in the in the affordable housing conversation, a lot of time what's missed is the fact that this is the most affordable housing solution available for people who are looking to become homeowners and create that pathway to home ownership. The facts are that a stick built house is going to be 2 to 2.5 times as costly as a manufactured home for a number of reasons. I mean, and I've been to a number of different factories from some of the, the larger manufacturers in this country. It is an efficient assembly line production where they're moving these homes out regardless of weather or condition, exterior condition, and they can build the demand. So, affordable housing, you cannot have an affordable housing solution without looking at or considering manufactured housing as a way to step people into a home ownership situation. And as home ownership is the number one pathway to generational wealth. So
Yes.
it gets people out of the cycle of renting and puts in that pride of ownership and changes the mindset for people to start thinking about longer term investments for them. So manufactured housing is absolutely a part of the solution. I'm not saying it's 100% of it, but it's definitely should be a bigger part of the solution that's being talked about right.
Yes, it was definitely a start of the conversation because, yeah, from the way you're explaining it, it would help out our economy so much better with the housing solution. Even with, I mean, we just had the huge fires down in Southern California. Like, there's a lot of displacement going on. They don't know what they're going to do with all that land, like, because that dirt is so. I tell people it's dirt. That dirt is expensive because of the
Sure.
location. Like, they don't know what to do with it. So even the idea what you brought up about the mobile home, like there's areas I had a friend I just did a podcast with, and there was a fire in Paradise. Paradise was the way they built it was backwards. It was one way in, one way out. It got to be a fire, and he was able to buy a mobile home park. They cleared the land out, and he's doing amazing with that investment.
And he ran it, brought it back as a mobile home park.
Yes, he did. Yeah. Yeah, it was very smart, intelligent on his side to do that. So when it comes to that also, how would you determine if a mobile home or mobile home park would be a good investment? What what
Well,
what what is it that you would say your professional side of it?
so from us, from the vantage point of where we look at, I mean, we're true value add investors, right? So we look at any potential, acquisition from the lens of where can we go in there and create real value, right? Where can we create efficiencies in the management, right? Where can we enhance the resident experience? And many times, this is still a very fragmented industry where predominantly, Tony, it is still owned by multi-generational mom and pop retail owners. And a lot of times they don't look at themselves as somebody who operates a mobile home park. It's somebody that's, they might have inherited, and they're not geared towards really raising the standards of that community. Maybe a lot of deferred maintenance, maybe roads that need to be done, or infrastructure improvements that need to be done, or lots, which are vacant lots, that need to be infilled, meaning brought it with new homes brought in there. So for us, we tend to look at those types of communities as our target because we believe that our program adds the most value there. We can help beautify the surrounding areas. We can enhance the homes that are there on site. We could bring in the infrastructure improvements and then start to bring in new homes to get the community at large that affordable housing option where, for us, Tony, we can sell a new home on site for somewhere between like 60 and $80,000, which is significantly below national average. And we can enhance the resident experience down on the ground. And that's for us where we look to add value. And then we look at where we can create some management efficiencies, where we can save money through um, you know, better management, maybe utility reimbursements, making sure that there's not any waste happening down on the ground. So we take a two-pronged approach of where we can add the most value, and that's what we look at when we look to acquire any new community.
Well, that's a great blueprint right there, how to go about it. How to go about it. Now, on the other flip side of that will be some common red flags investors should avoid when before purchasing a mobile home.
So I would, in the last say 3 or 4 years, um, mobile home park investing has become something of a buzz in the industry. I think people have started to look for more yield or investments with higher potential for cash flow. And a lot of people have come in with the thesis of when people own their homes, they're kind of tethered to the land, and I don't have to do much to make money. And I think that's some of the story, but I think that they're missing a big part of it because what makes a community or a mobile home park or community is really that feel that the residents have with the ownership or the ownership group. And it's not just, fix it and forget it. There is some, there is amount of touches that goes into maintaining and operating the park. So you have to have a good business plan on how you're going to run and operate that park, especially if you're going to do it from a distance, right? You have to make sure you have a good team on the ground that's going to be able to facilitate that. I think the community manager is so important. And then you have to make sure that you're able to instill culture on the ground of what's acceptable and what's not. Because in these communities or these types of communities, it is very easy for a community to get away from you if you're not actively managing it. If you allow people to not conform to a certain standard, everybody will, that pride of ownership, which makes this such a compelling asset class, will disappear if you just allow people to, you know, bring in junk cars and leave them on their lawn, or to, bring in laundry machines and leave it on their front lawn. Like, and that will have a negative impact on your community. So it's super important that you look to instill a culture of accountability for yourself and for your residents, and that makes a big difference in how your operations will be.
That's exactly true, especially like you said, having a great team. And especially if you're a distance away, you have somebody on site that's taking care of the responsibilities, the culture, keeping everything clean. And you got to think, the more you take care, I tell people, the more you take care of something, and especially no matter what it is, and especially when it comes to real estate, the tenants are going to want to stay there. They're not going to want to leave. They're like, I've been taking care of like what I say, what's broken, how fast the response is and everything. That all plays a key part of keeping great tenants.
You hit the nail on the head, Tony. And especially because, and here's the difference from multifamily, right? If somebody wants to move their home and there's a $15,000 cost to move their home, right? From one site and connect it somewhere else. And if they're only going to do it for a specific reason, if price is the same, then why they wouldn't move? They'll only move if you're not able to maintain that culture, if you're not able to create that community feel, or they feel like the standards have been reduced to the point where it's dangerous, unsafe, or affecting their values. So if you can do that and you can maintain that as being a focal point, you will have residents that are very happy to be there. And then what we found, those residents will become your best referral source. They will bring in their friends, their neighbors, their cousins, their coworkers, because they're going to want to have a community of other people who they want to share that community with.
Yes. And word of mouth goes a long ways, negative or positive. It goes a long ways. And like you said, their friends, their families, like what you're building a strong community where everybody is friendly, respectful to each other, respectful to the property that's there. So it all goes together as one.
Absolutely. I mean, that's a key component to all of this.
Yes. Now, when it comes to like financial options, how can you go about financially, like purchasing? What do you use financially to purchase mobile home? Parks, I should say.
So for the parks, and I think for any investor right now, Tony, the big challenge has been in the underwriting and in the financing. Because rates are significantly higher, that's why we've seen a reduction, I guess, a slowdown in the commercial real estate transactions. But we're one where when the rates are higher, we happen to believe that this is an opportune time. We think that anything that we're able to acquire now in the next few months, we're probably very well positioned because we're at the higher end of the rate curve and should start to peel back. And sellers at this point, if they're looking to sell, they'll be willing to be a little bit more creative with you. So we're a big proponent, especially going into a value add situation, is try to create or craft creative ways to get us to the us and the seller to the same point. A lot of time that involves some seller financing or a seller financing component. Um, for instance, we just closed on a 271 unit community where we were able to craft that with a seller financing note, and we were able to get the seller to defer some of those payments until the balloon period ends, 4 years from now. So that gives us some time to execute the business plan. We knew that we were at a great value. We could reinvest the capital into the community to get us to where we need to be. And it positions us where we felt where it works for us and it works for the seller as well. So I think, we've got to look at each market's a little different, but we think in the current environment with rates the way they are, being able to use different tools of either seller financing or lease options become very, very advantageous to us in terms of where we look to do and acquiring properties, right?
Yeah, and I was thinking, yeah, that's when I asked that question to you, and I was thinking, I said, you know what, I'm should they use seller financing, and like you said earlier in the podcast, a lot of them are moms and pops, so that actually helps with the seller financing a whole lot. Says, hey, you don't have to deal with the bank; we can structure this out together and work together as one.
Well, Tony, anytime you're buying real estate, you're buying three things, right? You're buying the income, the expense, and the financing. Right now, the financing is very expensive, right, for anybody. And so the only way you can make that up is on the price. So if you can work with this, if the seller wants to sell and they know that you're a sponsor or an operator who has a track record of performance, and we've been involved in about 27 communities right now. We've been able to go full life cycle on 10 of them. We're able to demonstrate, here's our business plan. It's been tried. It's been true. We've had over a decade of success in this space. And we can show you that you're going to be invested in this community anyway with professional management and ownership that's going to be able to take it to the next. And, the funny thing is we've actually had some prior owners who've worked with us afterwards, which we've been very proud of and very happy to have that happen. And, that gives us an added advantage where we have someone who really knows the property, who's boots on the ground. So, and one of the things that often gets overlooked, Tony, we've seen this happen. When you sell a property, everybody in town knows you sold the property. Your cousins,
Yes,
friends, and they know if you've come into this big windfall, it's the reason why, a third of lottery winners will declare bankruptcy inside of 3 years, right? It's not because they don't know what to do with the money. It's because they don't know how to say no. Right? Everybody comes out, can you help me? Can you do this? But if you take back a note, right? If you take back a seller financing note, they might know you sold the property. Tony, I took back a note. They don't have to know when you get that note paid off, right?
true.
And so with a seller, it gives them a little distance and not have the situation where, hey, I've got this big pool of money. What am I going to do with it? Oh, well, this one needs a car and that one needs a little help, and I want to help this. It gives them some time to kind of absorb what's going to happen and kind of make their decisions in the time they need to make those decisions.
Great. That's very true right there. I like that. And I have always one tax question because I love taxes and real estate. People, right, they try to shun away from it and everything. Like, this is the reason why the government gives us so many advantages when it comes to taxes and real estate investing. How does depreciation and tax strategy work with the mobile homes?
Well, that's another great question because for mobile home park investing, it's very favorable. We always like to do a cost segregation analysis and report prior to acquiring the property, which allows us to basically bifurcate the land from the personal property, from the land improvements, and from the buildings. And we were allowed, we're allowed to take some accelerated depreciation on the land improvements and the personal property. Now, in the case of a mobile home park, what you're buying is land and mainly land improvements. That's the value of that. And then you can get that accelerated depreciation, which allows real estate investors to shield a lot of income that's coming in. Rightly now that gets recaptured on a sale, but if you hold on to that property for an extended period of time, while that gives you a long period of time to defer that, right? And that's a huge advantage in not only investing in real estate, but investing in mobile home parks specifically.
Great. That's great. I didn't know that. This podcast made me get a mobile home now adventure with somebody on this now.
I would tell you, Tony, it would definitely be an advantage and a great way to shield your income as a real estate professional. That would be a fantastic way to do that.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. So what's one piece of advice you would give someone looking to start investing in mobile homes today?
So whenever I speak to somebody looking to invest, I always tell them that the first thing that you should do before you do anything is to write out your business plan. Because I'm sure you know, right, as a real estate agent, how many times have you gotten a call from somebody who says, Tony, can you help me find the deal?
Yeah.
Right. And if I had $1 for every time somebody said that to me, I wouldn't have to buy any real estate, right?
No.
And then when you ask them, like, well, define what a deal looks like. And then they don't know exactly what the deal looks like. I'll know it when I see it. Well, you're not defining success. So the first thing you should do is define success and then your expectation and what that looks like. What does it look like to own that community or park or investment? What kind of return are you looking to get out of it? What are you willing to commit to generate that return? How much work are you willing to do or able to do? Like everybody says, I want to, again, from being in real estate for so long and I'm a transactional agent and broker to where I am now in that journey, everybody wants to find that home that's worth 300,000 that the seller wants 180 and needs work, but all it needs is painting, right? And quite frankly, that doesn't necessarily exist. So be realistic of the work I'm willing to do, capital I'm willing to put in there, timeline I'm willing to expect, and the time I'm willing to commit to make this work. And then when you backtrack that, you've really got a pretty well-defined buy box of what you're looking for. And that makes you so much better of an investor because you'll know what not to look at and you'll know what to look for. So I always say the first step is having a good, clear plan and defining what success means for you and the dollars that you're willing to commit to it.
That is great info, great information right there, Frank. I appreciate everything that you said, like this sector of mobile home and the mobile home parks I had no knowledge about. Now, if everybody's listening to this podcast, you might need to re-listen and rewatch it over again because Frank just put out some gems out there that I didn't even know about. That's the reason why this podcast, so people can learn. And that's the reason why.
Well,
So go ahead, Frank.
no, I mean, listen, Tony, that's great. And we love sharing knowledge on that. And I appreciate the opportunity to share with you and talk with you about the mobile home park space.
Yes. This is Frank Rizzo. Like I said, he's been in this real estate game for over 20 plus years. He has his own podcast, the MHP Exchange podcast. Y'all need to go out there and listen to that also. And I just want to say it's been an honor and a pleasure, Frank, to have you on the podcast. I enjoyed spending this time with you today.
Tony, I really appreciate you having me on. It's been a pleasure talking with you. I'd love to come out to California and see the markets that you're in and see what's
Oh,
going
yes. Oh, yes,
on.
Indeed.
And I
Okay,
would say, if anybody out there is interested in seeing what it takes to turn around one of these mobile home parks, they can check out our YouTube channel, Trailer Park Turnaround, where it's a video series where we'll show you what happens from finding a deal to turning it, from acquisition day, what it takes to turn those parks around, and what it looks like at the finish line. So you can check out Trailer Park Turnaround on YouTube.
That's great. Yeah, just give me the information. I will put it there so everybody can watch it and subscribe to his channel and everything. And so on that note, world, thank you for listening and watching. And Frank, I appreciate you so much and everything that you do. All right,
Thank you,
everybody
Tony.
have a blessed day. Thank you. All right.
Welcome back to the Professionals Real Estate Investing Podcast. I wanted to get a little bit deeper into the mobile home park. I had a great interview, as you can tell with Frank Rizzo. That was very informative, especially with helping us with the shortage of the home crisis here, especially here in the United States. And I think it's a golden gem, especially with the mobile homes, how to get into it, how to help you with investing into it and broaden your horizon with real estate investing. So a lot of people, I'm going to bring some stats out to help you out even more to think about to invest in real estate investing and the part of the mobile sector of mobile homes. Did you know that over 44,000 mobile home parks in the U.S. alone reside here in this country? A lot of people don't know that. And this is house more than 20 million residents. There's always this perception that mobile home parks are kind of like trashy or just not good to be in. No, there is some beautiful mobile home parks. I know, for instance, I used to deliver appliances, and I remember I went to this mobile home park. It was really nice, and the individual told me that the mobile home was it was trash. The mobile home park, not the mobile home park itself, but the mobile home itself. And then they restructured and redid everything to it, and then now it looks immaculate. So mobile home is definitely a gem to get into. But we're going to bring up some more information here too, because I wanted to do an extended part of this because there was just so much information that Frank had, and I just want to bring out some stats and numbers to help people out right here too. So in 2024, there was about a little bit over 103,000 new manufactured homes that were shipped in the United States. That's a 15% increase from 2023. Shows you that the momentum is going up in the market with mobile homes. Now, which states? Now, there is states that are very prone to having a whole lot of mobile home parks. And there's some it just deals with the regulation and the zoning and everything with that when it comes to that. Now, the states that are really good with mobile homes or is Texas, Texas, like they say, is a whole nother country. And Texas, last year they shipped out 17,000 shipments of mobile homes just in that state alone. And then last year, they're saying that Louisiana, Florida, Alabama, and North Carolina round out the top 5, which is amazing because if you can see, and when I was talking about like zoning and everything, most of these are from Texas to the southern states. And I tell people that too. If you any type of real estate that you get into, look into those states that are, I say, rent friendly, rent investment wise, that they're friendly also, and you can prosper so much just by that alone. Now, when you look over the overall housing, uh, this is probably one of the best ones to get into. You got to think of like the overhead and everything. Like, how is this going to be beneficial to help me out when dealing with this? Now, mobile home parks consistently they deliver higher cap rates more than multifamily. On the average, you'll see between 7 to 10% cap rates, which is compared to the 5 to 6 that usually comes from the multifamily, depending on what type of mobile multifamily that you're in. So it's just always going to be about what you need to do. And this is a good thing for us to get into also because why? Because I don't know what the stat is now, but I know it was our housing market was between 7 to 9 homes that need to be done. And I know a lot of people right now, they're doing the best they can to help out the situation, especially with I've done a podcast about the ADUs. If you're ADU friendly state, go about it. And you can go route that way too. Now with the mobile home parks, the beauty of it is there's a few things. Like turnover is low. Residents, they stay put. You want residents that stay put. You actually do. It helps everything out. So when a person comes in to rent a house, they see it, they start renting it. Time goes by. You take care of that tenant. That tenant's going to take care of you. That's what I was always taught, and it's true, because um, you don't want to be that landlord. Get a call from a tenant. Hey, I need this possibly fixed, and then down the road, 2 months down the road, oh, I'll get to it. I'll get to it. That you don't. You gotta have that good, strong communication, especially with your tenants, because it can go a long ways. They can help you out in so much, because you got to think that area is your investment, but that's where they stay and live. That's where they reside at, which you're helping each other out. So it says moving mobile home costs between 5,000 or and up to 10,000, which means tenants rarely move. Combine that with affordable rents, you've got incredible retention rate. So this is just a rough estimate, but it depends where it's at. But always do your due diligence to find out the history of the um, mobile home park, and see if it's going to be adapted. It's going to be better for you and your lifestyle. Because there is some mobile home parks that only deal with seniors, 55 and older, but there is mobile home parks that deal with any age group. Now, when it comes to the barriers and zoning policy that I was talking about, that's huge. So, take for New York, for example, Yankees. Uh, the state has about 192,000 manufactured housing units, which make up about 2.4 of the housing in the state of New York. But rural counties, um, manufacturers can make it represent up to 10 to 15% more. So you actually find more of the mobile home parks in rural areas or small towns. That's where you'll find them at. And you, like I said, you want to, like, so for example, it says Colorado and Oregon have considered or passed laws limiting rent increases for remanufactured lots. And it's a touchy thing when it comes to it, because it helps out with housing. But like I said, the zoning, the rent, a lot of things play in a factor when it comes to um, the mobile homes. But I found it's an easier sector to work at when it comes to mobile homes, because you don't have to deal so much when, like, say, like if you buy a house. Um, I mean, mobile homes, they have their inspection, but it's not an inspection like a house does. A house, I mean, they go the thorough inspection of the roof, plumbing, um, anything that can be. They just want to make sure everything is up to par. HVAC system, they want to make everything's up to par. But in a mobile home, since it's more in of a kind of confined unit, that is like the best bet for a lot of people, and the rents are usually um, way affordable for them to have. Now, like I was talking about residential communities, it says the surveyor from the MH Insider, they found that 85% of the remanufactured home owners are satisfied with their housing, which is higher than many other housing types, just like I was talking about. Because, like I said, you take care of your residents, they're going to take care of you. Why would they move for? They're in a great situation. And so the demographics is shifting toward it also. It says while retirees still make up a big portion of residents, more young families and even first time buyers are choosing remanufactured homes as a way to fight back against rising housing costs, which is very true. The new generation, a lot of them, they their goal is to buy a house. Now, well, can they afford it? That's the main problem. The down payment. But as I tell people, especially with mortgage, there's so many different programs that you can use. And when it comes to uh, the mortgage amount and everything, I always tell people get a dependable mortgage lender or loan officer and to find out what you're going to be qualified for. And why not use a mobile home? The traditional thing is usually always a house. But if you can't afford a house, you can get a mobile home. That's a house too. It's always about what's going to be best for you. You don't want to be in so far in debt that you just have to kill yourself just to pay the rent. So the sector of mobile homes is definitely a gem for a lot of people to use. Now, getting started, um, especially with investors, the sweet spot they said for new investors get that between that 20 and 50 lots, depending on where you're at, especially in your real estate journey, because that's a good amount. And it's not like it's homes like a home here and a home here, home on the other side of town. They're all together as one. So your due diligence checklist, it should include occupancy rate, like how long are the individuals staying there. Like I said, that turnover is really low. I have never come across a mobile home park that um, that the turnover rate was large. And if it was large, that because there was a lot of crime, little different activities that were going on that they didn't want their family to be a part of. So that's about the only reason I've seen of that. But there could be plenty other reasons also. It says utility hookups, city water, sewer are safer than private septic. Yeah, that's a huge one because when you deal with your home, um, you're dealing with more. You're dealing with a bigger space. With the mobile home, you're building, like I said, just you're dealing with a structured lot. You're dealing with a lot also with the home, but the structured lot of the mobile home park is way smaller. So that's going to be a huge plus. Um, Road infrastructure and condition. That is definitely a big one too. Um, the reason why I said definitely is a huge one because there's a lot of mobile home parks that I've gone through that the roads are not always kept up the best. That's something to look at too. But then I've been to some mobile home parks where the road infrastructure was immaculate. So it's going to depend on, like I said, what's going to be best for your benefit in life. If people are not trying to move every 5 to 10 years, they're trying to stay as long as possible, especially in the condition and the rate of our economy is right now. People want to stay put. They want to be affordable with their rent, affordable with everything from food, clothing, shelter, everything. So the red flags, it says, watch out for parks with lots of vacant pads. Plus, right there, don't definitely watch that because that shows a lot also. And it also says um, aging septic systems without permits or too many park owned homes. Now, though interesting thing when they said about the aging septic, that's true because, and I tell people something that you don't see is septic. Septic is one of those parts where people just like, okay, they have somebody check it for them. But if it's not up to par, if it's not up to code, no, don't go into that environment right there. Now, looking forward, the demand isn't is slowing down. It says affordable housing remains one of the nation's greatest needs, which is true. Like I said, back months ago, it was between 7 and 9 million that that our housing crisis is in right now. It says institutions will continue consolidating, but that opens opportunity in secondary markets, especially in the Midwest and the Sun Belt and the South. All that area right there, that's an amazing spot. No matter what type of real estate investing that you're doing, that is a great spot to get into. Now, mobile home investing in that shows affordable housing, strong occupancy, steady cash flow, and incredible long-term demand, which is needed. And just remember this: 44,000 mobile home parks across America. This can be this right here alone. Um, Mobile home parks is, like I said, it's one of those gems that a lot of people don't talk about, and um, it's a need because right now the housing market is right now the interest rate right now here in the month of September, the interest rate went down a quarter. Should be going down more. They said probably 2 more times, maybe this year. But I would say if anybody wanted to start, mobile home parks is a huge asset. You don't always have to do homes like everybody else does. It's just going to be to your need and your desire how to go about get into it, because it's actually not. It's fairly easy to get into. As Frank Rizzo, like that podcast is amazing. All the gyms and everything. I mean, he's a seasoned vet. He's been doing this for 20 plus years in New York. He brings out a whole lot of gyms that's needed. Now, another thing I want to talk about too, off the side of it, is actually when it deals with real estate investing itself. Um, I was talking to an individual, and he was asking me when is the best time to invest in real estate investing. I said anytime. Everything deals with the dollar. It deals with how much. What is your goal? What is your agenda? What is needed to get you in the right spot to to either offset your taxes or to if you want to retire from your 9 to 5 job, what is needed. Um, my boy Rocky, he's still looking, as to this very day. We came across one, and um, I tell people too, when especially with real estate investing, also make sure you have a strong communication with the other side. We was looking at a duplex. It was perfect duplex and everything, and I got at the real estate agent, and the communication wasn't the best of ties. And I think that as real estate agent, as like just like me, we need to do better, especially with communication, because um, there's people out there who want to invest. They have money. They want to invest. They have goals in life. They like I said, they want to quit their 9 to 5 job, or they want to offset their taxes. So as a real estate agent, and I do my best at this too, definitely have strong communication that's needed to help out um, the people that we help out with. Rocky's a close friend of mine, and we stay in great communication. Um, Speaking of which, our last podcast, it's done amazing. It's got over 3,000 views. It's the basically kind of like the DNA of real estate investing from A to Z, basically. Um, uh, my other compadre, Mr. Marcus Harvey, he's out on the coast. He's working on some things out there too, and uh, I want to thank everybody in itself. Just a little shout out to everyone for always checking out the Professional Real Estate Investing podcast. I have interviews coming up. I'm going to be doing a lot of solo things too, because Marcus, like I say, he's out on the coast. He's working on some things, and my other compadre, Mr. Rocky, he has things going on too. He works at his he works at his job, and with the family and everything. So I'm not around him a whole lot, but we always stay in close communication. And I would like to also speak to the ones out there who have followed me since day one. Um, it's been a journey. I'm not going to stop. Um, I'm going to keep on going. If a person wants to be on the podcast, they can go to the website, professionalrealestateinvesting.com. You can send me an email, and I always look forward to talking to people, to expanding their horizon. I'm around people who don't know anything about real estate investing, and then when I speak to them, they're like, "I had no idea." I tell them ways to how they can offset their taxes. You got to think, people get upset about people making a lot of money, and especially especially nowadays. And I'm like, well, how are they making a lot of money? Were they in a position to make money? Did they go for the schooling? Uh, don't knock that person for making money, because someone had to pave the way for them to get to where they had to be at. So real estate investing, like, you can make so much money in it, but the blueprint of it is the government allows it to happen. Why? Because the government wrote the tax book. So real estate investing is one of those engines that you can offset your taxes like no other, from short-term rental to long-term rental. Uh, Carlton Dennis, I listen to him, watch him, everything. I like it. Love his new podcast with Mr. Omar. I've watched it 5 times, and he has gems on there. I don't mind if I'm promoting his channel, his podcast, because there's people out there that have more knowledge than me. I'm just out there just giving everybody the gift of gab to the structure of real estate investing, because I've been in it since 2020, since COVID and pandemic. Well, Carlton, he has all types of, he is that guy. If you want to listen about tax strategy, he is that guy I think people should follow, because I've learned a lot from him. I've learned a lot, period, on my own, but he breaks it down very simple, and that's his niche right there. So um, make sure when it comes to real estate investing that you know what your why is. A, a lot of people, they's like, oh, okay, here's what we do, but what's behind your why? That's where you have to sit down and you have to think about, okay, what am I going to do? What's my structure? How am I going to go about to um, change my life? Do I help this out with, will this help out with my kids going to college, if they want to go to college, or if they want to start up their own business, or if um, mom and dad want to retire, or dad wants to retire and she's at home with the kids, and she can be a um, real estate professionalist, offset the taxes. That's a whole nother thing. I think the professional real estate professional that the government gives, I think that's a gem right there in itself. That I'll have to do a little segment about that one. Um, that's definitely is a why, um, because right now in the economy that we have right now, um, there's a lot of homes, and I'm really seeing that. I've been studying a lot lately, almost every night, that there is so many people that can't afford homes. There are so many people who are foreclosed homes right now, and they can't afford it. I've seen some with Marcus. We've already studied some all over the place, where the people's mortgage is $700-800 for the mortgage, and they can't afford it. So something has to get done. Right down from where I live right now, there's a house that's about to be foreclosed. I have a friend a couple towns away from me. His across street, next door neighbor, house is foreclosed. There's something needs to happen to change all this, because there's so many pre-foreclosures. Excuse me, so many pre-foreclosures into the status of foreclosed, that people are living in their homes. I have a quick story about that. There was actually one time I worked with a patient, and um, I found out a story about how she was sick. She was in the hospital, but before she came into the hospital, she was sitting in her house, and uh, all of a sudden, her door is unlocked. It opens up, and she looked and turned around. She goes, "Hey, who are you?" And she goes, "Who are we? We just bought this house. This house was foreclosed." And when I heard the story, I was like, "What?" So she never opened or answered her phone, definitely not open any letters that was sent to her house, to know that her house was already in a foreclosed state. And that's how she lost her house. So something has to be done about these foreclosures. And I know one gym that's being done, been around since so long, but now most real estate agents don't know about it. I do know this because I've talked to the agents, and They like, what is that? Mr. Mr. Pace, Mr. Sub 2. Sub 2 financing is amazing. I actually sent a letter to um, a person down in Orange County because they were behind. They were behind. Um, I couldn't tell if it what type of judgment it was. The house is clear and paid for, but some type of judgment or was on it, and they only owed, I believe, $11,000. And I was going to help them with the sub two, but they never responded. So people need to know and be aware when that foreclosure state happens, it's going to happen. Like the courts are going to be like, okay, um, I know a little bit about the process of foreclosure because that's how when I started and met my mentor Ed back in the day, I met him there, and that's what he was there for. It was, and there's a gentleman I've always said this for. He looks like one of the members from ZZ Top, and um, he had all the paperwork and everything, and basically when you get to the courthouse, you have to have all the cashier's checks ready. So whatever house that you're bidding on foreclosed, you have to have that amount. If it exceeds that amount, the court will refund your money. But you have to have all that money, all those money orders, cashier checks at that time of sale. And then when it's sell, then you go into the courthouse, it gets recorded, bam, it's your place. But something, like I said, something has to be done with it. The foreclosures. I know a lot of people have been getting into it. I actually had a person who used to be an ex-sheriff. He right now he's doing investing by himself, but he actually helped me. I helped him. He helped me. We was gonna help each other with this foreclosed place, but the lady, like I said, um, people think that nothing's gonna happen. Yes, something's gonna happen. That's why it takes a while for a house to get foreclosed. It takes time to a house to get foreclosed, and um, I don't like to see no one losing their place, especially for a person uh, who is a widow who just having financial problems because everyone has some way or another financial problems, especially in this day and time that we live in. So I wanted to say that those right there, yeah, the foreclose, and it's a good way to get in real estate investing too. So I mean, that's exactly it is a way, but I hate the part of you have to um go through that people have to go through that. And like I said, it takes time. And if you need help, get help because there's always different types of programs. I'm learning about the programs myself. Actually, I just finished my course and I'm going to be scheduling soon my mortgage loan test. I heard it's pretty difficult, but I love a challenge. And that's another part I'm just going to broaden up my horizon too with all the different programs and teach people about what type of loans they can get into because there's several different loans people can get out there. Like it's not always your conventional loan. No, there's all different types of programs, first time buyer programs. Um, I want to bring that out to people, let them know, hey, you can do this, you can do that. You don't always have to do the 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 norm. There's all these programs out there, and the reason why is because they have it for us to use. And I like to tell people and broaden their horizon, like, hey, you can use this or you can use this. You always have options. Options is always the best thing to have because if one falls, you have another option. You get it. I tell somebody have an A, B, C, and D plan. Why? Because it's not gonna eventually ever go down to D, but at least you have those steps. You have everything that you need beforehand. So yeah, so I just want to just elaborate a little bit more on the. Thank you everybody for staying. Elaborate more on the mobile home part. It was huge, great interview with Frank. I just want to bring out a little bit of more stats. Um, the state of the right now, what's going on, like like I said, the mortgage rate, we just went down a quarter. It's probably gonna go. They're talking about two more times before the end of 2025. Um, I love and appreciate everybody that listens. I do have more episodes coming out. I will be doing more interviews more interviews. Solo by myself. This is my first solo one, but I'm going to be doing more and having some slide presentations. And I'm going to change it up. I'm going to change it up. Like I said, this kind of puts me full court pressure now because me and my boy Marcus, we used to be on a kind of like on a regular basis, but like I said, he's on the coast. He's working on some things with real estate, and it brings me more. So hey, I step this game up. Got to get everything going. If like and subscribe to the Professionals Real Estate Investing Podcast. I'm on Apple, Spotify, Amazon, you name it, it's on there. And if you want to be on the podcast, go to the Professionals Real Estate Investing Podcast. I should say Professionals Real Estate Investing, professionalsrealestateinvesting.com. You go on that, submit me a form on there and everything, and I will get back in touch with you ASAP. And on that note, I want everybody to have a blessed day, blessed week, blessed month. I appreciate you, and everybody take care of yourselves and love each other. That's what we need around this world right now, a whole lot of love. All right, thank you. Peace.